The following is a Media&Me production.
The advertising industry has the ability to control our resources, namely our time.
We are obviously running out of time.
Money, and ideas. Using the course readings and footage from Dr. Strangelove's lectures, we will discover how exactly the media industry controls the resources we work so hard to protect.
We're here on my balcony at Rideau and Waller, and we're just gonna have a look around at what's here and what in the media around us is trying to get our time, money, and ideas. Sign at the Metro says it's open 24 hours.
Keem Optical, that has a student special.
Cafe right there, that's trying to get you to come out for some concerts.
Ken Japanese restaurant, that's advertising all you can eat special.
Clothing store has a sale. That pizza place also has a sale. It's a massive street mural for the clothing company Obey. That's in one intersection. It's like easily 10 different ads.
Richard W. Pollay, a history of advertising professor at the University of British Columbia, discusses the idea of a fabricated advertising environment in his article, The Distorted Mirror: Reflections on Unintended Consequences of Advertising. Pollay discusses that advertising has become so commonplace in our everyday life that we consider it a part of it, a part of life that in reality was composed by the advertising industry.
Pollay supports the idea of advertising controlling our time by describing advertising environments as hyperboles. He states that advertising could never show us the attainable. In this sense, Pollay says that advertising places consumers' time in pursuit of something we cannot achieve.
Pollay also discusses the idea of advertising controlling ideas as related to the concept of advertising environment. It is not enough for advertising to portray a new reality. The ad must give the consumer reasons why the new reality is better. Essentially, this must change the consumer's value system. Our way of thinking and our ideas are influenced by this.
Pollay also states that we spend our money according to the values of this new advertising system, the bottom line being that the advertising industry controls how we invest our resources, and that is back into the industry. Pollay says that our time, money, and ideas are controlled by the advertising environment, as advertising environments are hyperboles, capable of changing our perception and influencing our spending. Paul Rutherford, professor of history at the University of Toronto, states that we live in a propaganda state where governments, corporations, and many other groups seek to manage our lives. Rutherford examines how government advertising has largely escaped public and scholarly attention. The bureaucratic network of the government is the sponsor of advertising, and the industry commands the process, just as in the creation of campaigns for consumer goods. Though this government advertising is meant to promote desirable behavior for our society, it is still controlling in its nature and always seeking an agenda, not surprising considering the advertising industry produces it. He elaborates on the point that this form of propaganda seeks to undermine debate instead of encouraging public talks, and is an undemocratic exercise funded by the public's own monies that could be better spent on programs and services.
Rutherford states that the government's propaganda is able to control our time, money, and ideas by utilizing the advertising industry to promote their agenda, justify their actions, and encourage certain behaviors, all using our own funds. Helen Irving, a professor of law at the Sydney Law School, discusses advertising's effects on people's ideas, money, and time in her article, Little Elves and Mind Control: Advertising and Its Critics. In the article, Irving discusses the effects of advertising targeting the middle class, the portrayal of luxury items as necessities, and the ability for advertising to influence the middle class and make them make unaffordable purchases. Irving discusses the targeting of the middle class by the advertising society as one that consumes our time. Whenever we interact with the media, whether it be music or television, we are bombarded with ads. Whether we are conscious of this or not, it exists and occupies the time we believe we spend as leisure time. Irving goes on to discuss the advertising industry's ability to make luxury items seem a necessary part of a lifestyle. In this sense, Irving admits that the advertising industry can change our ideas and perspective of how we live in our life and what products we deem as necessary to this lifestyle.
Irving says the advertising industry impacts the way we utilize our time by placing ads almost everywhere, the way we think by forcing to accept luxury items as essential, and the way we spend our money by influencing our purchase of the luxury items. Sut Jhally, professor of communication at the University of Massachusetts, discussed the power advertising has over us and why we do not oppose it in his article, Advertising, Gender, and Sex: What's Wrong with a Little Objectification? He asks the question, what lies behind the considerable power that advertising has over us? Advertising producers harness what is already subconsciously present in our minds due to experience. They learn how to use our minds so that we relate to what is being advertised, thus inducing the desired behavior. The producers do this without evoking any negative emotions about the method they use, such as using women's bodies to sell products, because these images are not new to us. They are simply being reiterated. By using gender and sex the way that these content producers do, and by having the influence over us that they have come to acquire, producers can easily convince women to purchase what they are promoting.
Jhally says that advertisers influence our minds and money by gaining power while avoiding criticism because they manipulate what we already know and put it out for us to see. We ourselves complete the process when we do what is wanted of us by buying such products or services that we think we benefit from. John Harms, a professor of sociology at Missouri State University, and Douglas Kellner, a philosophy professor at Columbia University, discussed two different theories of advertising analysis in their article, Toward a Critical Theory of Advertising. They present the analysis theory of analyzing the consumer and that of analyzing the historical trends involved in advertising. On the consumer level, the advertising industry appears to be a soft influence. We have developed a false consciousness of the effects of the advertising industry and fool ourselves into thinking we are above it. In reality, the advertising industry has the ability to control our ideas, time, and money by influencing the way we think, pass time, and expend the resources we work so hard to obtain. On a historical level, however, the advertising industry's goal of creating markets and generating the desires of these markets has always existed. However, aided by the increasingly expanding media environment we live in, the advertising agency has never been so prominent in history.
Harms and Kellney discuss the consumer and historical analysis of the advertising industry. Consumers are not aware that the media industry can control ideas, time, and money, and believe that we are outside of the influence of the media industry. On a historical level, this has always been the goal of the industry, but the modern form of advertising has never been as successful, due mostly to the ever-expanding media industry. We can see that in today's age, the advertising industry holds a monopoly over our time, money, and reality. What we see and want is exactly what we are allowed to see by the industry. Government advertising is similar in terms of how it tries to manipulate our actions. Media, me, and you, all of us, we are all just pawns of the advertising industry.